Good evening, everybody. Mike Geary here for the Geek Pride cast on this Monday evening. With me tonight, we have another guest, but we have my co-hosts, Peter Ellison.
Good evening, everyone.
And Mark Canty.
Hola.
Now, tonight we have a guest. It's good to have a guest back again. And he's author Ted Manning. Welcome, sir.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Yeah, man, not bad. Another American. See, we're very international right here at Geek Pride. No relation to Peyton, as we discovered earlier. Unfortunately, not.
Sadly. Yeah. Unfortunate.
Okay, Ted. So, who are you? What do you do? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, no problem. So, I'm an author, which is absolutely insane to be able to say now, just because it's kind of been a dream of mine, an aspiration of mine for a very long time since I was a child. I think I was like, shoot, 6 years old, something like that. And I would just write small little stories and then, draw little stick figures and pretend I was doing comic books. And then when I got older, like I did the same thing that a lot of kids did that were kind of into that thing. I would do try to make movies with my friends and write horrible screenplays and everything like that teenagers do. And then I tried to go to school for it, college for it, to kind of like do screenwriting and try to get into film and things like that. And it is horribly expensive to go to college. And after a while, I was like, yep, this isn't working out. So I joined the military. I was in the U.S. Army for a while as an infantryman. I did 5 years as indirect fire infantry, which is a mortarman. And after I got out, uh, I did a lot of different odds ends and oddball jobs. I worked in a prison. I worked for a sheriff's department. I was a sheriff's deputy for a while, and then my wife and we have 3 kids, and we moved on back down to Florida, and that's where we reside now. And it was very interesting. I got connected with an individual named James Rosone, who also writes some amazing books. I've been a fan of his stuff, and I've read a lot of it. And I had just gotten shoulder surgery, and I basically said to myself, like, "Hey, I kind of want to get back in this whole writing thing and see if I can go anywhere with it. And so maybe I should shoot this guy a message real quick, show him what I've done, and see if he likes it." And the medication from the shoulder surgery definitely helped with that thought process a little bit, because it gave me the courage to to do it. And so I went ahead and messaged him and said, "Hey, here's a couple things that I've written before, and tell me what you think." And he enjoyed it, and he enjoyed it so much so that he, like, one of the things I had sent him was a science fiction short story. And he goes, "Well, I'm writing this new science fiction series, and it'd be awesome if you could, help write some of it with me." And so I think it was books 4 and 5, Into the Chaos and Into the Fire, of his series, where I helped write scenes. And the scenes that I had written in those was about these characters in a infantry company that I called Apollo Company. And I enjoyed writing those characters so much. And he was like, "Do you want to do your own series, your own spin-off series? It'll be based in the universe, but it'll be those characters, and you can, as long as you follow the timeline that we've created, you can do basically whatever you want with it." And yeah, I jumped at it, man. And now, geez, we're a day away from the first book coming out, and I'm been shaking, like, because this is crazy to me. Like, I haven't published it before this, and I mean, I have my name on those 2 other books and everything, but this is the first one that I've written the entire thing. And yeah, it's insane that it's about to all come to fruition and tomorrow, and release and everything. It's been one heck of a journey. It's been awesome.
It's called Cherubim's Call.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's called Cherubim's Call. It's the Apollo's Arrow series. And yeah, it's basically a play on words. So uh the main series that James writes is called the Rise of the Republic series. And I think the first book is called Into the Stars. And so it takes place in the same universe as that. by the time that we see Apollo Company in that main series, in the Rise of the Republic series, it like I said, it's in book 4 and 5. They're well deep into the war and everything like that. And so, what I wanted to do with Apollo's Arrow series is I wanted to take these characters I've created, because by the time that we see them in the main series, they're already sergeants. They're older. They're more experienced. They're veterans. And I was like, I want to take these guys that they've gotten used to, and I want to go back all the way to the beginning. And so I take these characters, and the first book, there we get to see them in basic training, and then it progresses from there. But I really wanted to take these characters and bring them back to the basics, back to the beginning, where they're not these strong, confident characters that they are by the time that they showed up in the main series. I wanted to take them all the way back to when they were just starting out, young bucks, not really understanding the way of the world, and now they're getting thrust into this intersystem planetary war with the alien race. And so it's awesome. The reason why I called it Cherubim's Call was because the planet the planet itself is called New Eden in the first book, and cherubim, like a cherubim of angels, basically guard the gates of Eden within the Bible. And so it's basically they're hearing the trumpets call. It will make sense when you read the book, but but that's the reasoning behind the title itself.
So for like, and my apologies, I've not heard of the of James Rosone before. So what's the sort of kind of background to his sci-fi series? So which obviously your Apollo company's in.
Yeah, of course. So basically it's not a far future series that you see in a lot of other IPs, like Halo, for instance, is like 500 years in the future, right? This one is not. This one takes place still in the late 2000s, and basically you have what's called the Republic, which is it's North America, South America, England, as well as in the United Kingdom, Australia, other places like that. And then you have basically the world is split into these three different factions, essentially. The European Union, there's an Asian Pact, and then you have the Republic, right? And it starts off with them going out deep into the stars, which is the name of the first book, Into the Stars, and where they come in contact with an alien race. And first contact does not go well, and they are thrust very quickly into a intersystem war with them. Tons of other alien species are within this series. I don't know how much James wants me to give away, give away just because I don't want to ruin anything.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But yeah, but it's awesome. It really is. It's very expansive. They visit all these different types of planets. There's multiple different aliens, both on what we presume are the bad side, and also the good side, right? And entering into an alliance. And and so that's basically where the first book of Apollo's Arrows, Cherubim's Call, my book, that's where it starts, is at the beginning. I can, it's my book, so I don't feel like I'm giving anything away. But when it starts off in the beginning, there is no war with the Zodarks. So the Zodarks are these massive blue creatures they're huge. They tower over even the tallest human. They have 4 arms that are just absolutely gigantic. Laser weapons. They got these big swords that they utilize. Sharp nails, long black hair. I mean, they're absolutely ferocious. And you can see it in a lot of the art that are the book covers that are done by this amazing artist named Tom Edwards. And yeah, so my first book brings it all the way back before that war even happens, or we even know what a Zodark is, or anything like that. And then we get to kind of follow these guys through basic, and then it gets to the point where they find out about these aliens and first contact. And so we get to kind of see from a psychological standpoint, what that means, because these guys join not because they're in this like is they're not overwhelmed with this abundance to help the Republic fight this threat from outside our system or anything. They just join for for different reasons. Maybe they want to get away from their parents, or maybe their life is going down a horrible path because of crime, and they kind of want, whether they want to or not, they get thrust into the situation of being in the military, where they have to kind of turn their life around. Or you have a guy who, his life is set on one path in particular, and he feels like, well, is this really what I want, or is this what other people want? And so he chooses the military to go in there. And then all of a sudden, knock knock, you're not going to be just chilling in space doing nothing or going on patrols. Like you're now fighting an alien threat, and so it's a total mind bend on you, and on the characters. I've always wanted to write the story about these very ordinary people who get thrust into position to do extraordinary things. And that all started with Band of Brothers when I was a little kid watching,
Love it.
or younger, I should say. But Band of Brothers is like my favorite television miniseries ever created and made.
So good.
And I've just, oh yeah, and I've
So
just
good.
been enamored with that you were able to tell these unbelievably emotional and impactful stories with just this small company of soldiers. And I've wanted to take that and put it into a narrative form for a novel. And so that's kind of where I got a little bit of inspiration from for this. And because that's what it's all about. When I served in the military, I was around a bunch of people who, if you saw them at a McDonald's or your convenience store or anything like that, they were a very ordinary looking person, nothing extraordinary about them, but the things that they do without people realizing it, when they are put into these horrible situations, they're able to do it without batting an eye. And so somebody on the outside will look at that and they'll go, man, like that guy's a hero. And say, well, no, he's just doing his job. He's just put in the situation where he has to act, or she has to act, right? And so it's been an incredible journey so far, creating these characters and crafting this storyline, and I cannot wait to continue it on and keep going with what I got.
Got so many questions. So many
Yeah.
questions.
How
I'm
hard
sorry.
how hard has it been to kind of like take like an existing storyline and then kind of weave your own narrative into it?
Yeah, that was something I was going to ask. So, do you have to have like a timeline or sort of certain things that you have to hit to sort of adhere to his sort of vision?
Yeah, so it's actually almost, I don't want to say easier, because there are definitely certain parts of it that where it goes, oh man, like I got to get this absolutely correct. And I was able to talk to James and kind of say like, hey, let's come up with this very detailed timeline of everything that happens in your book from beginning to end, because since I'm going back to the beginning, I'm going to have to follow kind of the rules and the structure of that. But other than trying to keep it so we're not retconning anything, or stepping on anybody's toes with dates and things like that, for the most part, it's a pretty I can kind of just do what I want to do. And so we have these campaigns that go out through the main series: the New Eden campaign, the Intis campaign, the Alfheim campaign. Which those are just words that make no sense right now, but if you read the book, you'll understand it. But it's all these different campaigns that, you know, here's your start point, here's your middle point, here's your end point, here's how you get to those moments. Now I get to take that and I get to go, all right, what happens in between? Or what happens on this that maybe you're not seeing? Planets are huge, right? And so, you know, I have the pleasure to be able to take these campaigns that happen on these planets, where in his series you see everything happening on this side. Well, what's going on the other side? Well, I get to come up with all of that and do that. And so it's pretty nice to be able to kind of flow, ebb and flow along with the narrative without really stepping on his toes too much, and then he'll make sure to tell me if I do. But I'm very fortunate to be able to excuse me. I'm very fortunate to be able to go ahead and kind of craft my own narrative within the overarching story, because when he writes that main series, he has to stay on pace with this grand scale and this grand scheme that he's writing, right? He has a beginning, he has an end, and he needs to get to that. Whereas I don't, because I'm not writing politicians. I'm not writing these larger than life characters that are going and meeting these other races and trying to form an alliance or any of this other stuff, right? It all comes down to I get to create this small little narrative tale in the wide, broader audience of what's going on. So people can read the main series and they can see, like, all right, well, I really want to know how this alliance ends up forming and how these two alien races come together to fight these alien races and everything like that. And you get that with the main series. But with mine, we're just focusing on Apollo Company and the different things that they do. So by the time that you get to book 4 or 5, right, in his series, you're already like 3 major campaigns deep. It's years and years and years later. Whereas with me, I get to take my time. So the first 3 books are basically surround around the New Eden campaign. And whereas by the third book in his series, he's already well past the Intis campaign and deep in there. And so I get basically carte blanche to just come up with whatever I want to in between, because it's very centralized with this one company of soldiers. So it's pretty nice.
So,
Okay, sweet.
with regards to the science angle behind it, are you just assuming that's I don't know what technology wise and stuff, are we pretty far advanced because obviously there's we're into space, etc., or is it more sort of
Yeah.
modern weapons with sort of maybe more of a sci-fi edge to them?
Yeah, so every science fiction, like major science fiction IP that you really look at has this kind of catalyst, right? So, the Mass Effect series, they find Prothean technology on Mars and they end up advancing their everything forward. With Halo, they find Forerunner technology and they're able to build these massive spaceships later on and everything like that. And it's kind of the same way with us. When we end up going, like we're up until this point, basically by the time that it starts, the series itself starts time wise, we've advanced enough to be able to get us to the deep reaches of space, just based off of you know bending the rules here and there. Uh, you know, there's a huge gap between our timeline now in 2022 and when the main series starts in the Rise of the Republic series. And so we're able to take, that time and kind of just build our own narrative about, okay, well, what are some of the things that are happening right now within the scientific community that we could see it could potentially get to that point, right? Where we've started it. And then, we'll bend the rules here and there to say like, well, now we have these type of engines and everything like that. At the end of the day, it's science fiction, it's sci-fi. You have to kind of go, all right, and move along when it comes to that. But uh we then do have that catalyst to meet the other alien species, and they're able to give the technology to humanity, to be able to advance it to help with the fight against this existential threat that's coming in. And so, when it comes to the weapons, a lot of things are advanced to a point. For instance, they fire a laser. There's 2 different types. The rifle that we're dealing with is called the M8 in my in at the beginning in my book, right? In his series, it's kind of developed and gone past that because he's deeper into the future than I am. But you have this rifle that basically is fires 2 different like rounds. It fires a laser, right, that is kind of the superheated plasma that comes out, and then at the same time, which is ran off of battery power, right? And then you have a mag rail round, which uses mag rail technology, right? Magnetic technology. And it's like a 5.56 round that is made of tungsten. It doesn't have a casing. It's propelled by magnetization, and they utilize that as well. And that is in a magazine that carries upwards of 250 rounds, because you don't have these big brass casings that you're having to shove in. You just have these tungsten rounds that you can kind of just slip in there. They're small, they're tiny. They can there's a lot more room in the magazines that are specifically designed for it. But there's
Using
other stuff that I've. Oh, go ahead.
yeah, they're using like Gauss Magriel technology on warships. So it's just a case of like compacting and
Iteration.
compartmentalizing, iteration and
And
miniaturization.
they shot down their
technology.
first drone with a laser beam recently. So
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like you see, within our, what we have now, you can see us starting to get to that point. Like you said, on naval ships, they tested the mag rail technology. We're not far off, man. I truly believe that in my lifetime, at least, that we will be able to see certain practices that we deem science fiction right now implemented in the real world. At least by the time I'm dead. At least I hope. If not, man, humanity did not advance as far as I thought, I thought it would.
Well, you got to think, like, when it comes to sort of technology, it's like, we went from this, we had this sort of massive leap of sort of think about it, 50 years ago, 60 years ago, we weren't even on the moon, and sort of electricity and things were, and computers were just about coming in, and then suddenly everything just went so quickly. You've got, even in the space of 10 years, the size of memory and stuff, like, I had my first computer when I was in university was sort of 2 gigs. My first internet was 14 kilobyte internet when I was a child. Now you can get
young.
now you can get one sort of one terabyte. 1 terabyte internet,
exactly.
and your computers come with a terabyte standard in memory, and it's just sort of everything's just advanced so quickly, so fast.
I know. I mean,
things, landlines to mobiles, to mobile data, satellite
exactly.
data. I mean, you think about it these days, they deploy units from the armed forces with satellite phones that are only slightly bigger than mobile phones. And once upon a time, you'd either have to use a bloody great big backpack sort of
Yeah, they have a
radio
radio.
indicator, no encryption, and hope that you had a good line of sight, or run
Exactly.
wire,
Exactly.
or run telephone wire, wouldn't you? Some poor bugger would have to go out there and run wire and hook it up at one into a handset.
I know it's all. Well, there's
Yeah, exactly.
there's an amusing story that I heard that, and there was one of the bases in Afghanistan, and the top brass had to basically tell the soldiers to stop using the jogging app around the base because it was logging.
Yes.
It was logging the perimeter of the base when they were running around it. So it's like the Taliban could see, oh, that's exactly where it is, and that's the layout of it, because they were running around this sort of like
Yeah. That's a huge thing, like, nowadays, that people don't really real and I definitely don't want to go off on a tangent about this, but like that's what with the advancement of technology, especially when it comes to military and future war and everything, like people just need to chill and understand that technology is a wonderful, beautiful thing, but it can be exploited for the worst, heinous things in the world. And you don't even know that it's happening. They're currently in Ukraine. God bless what's happening over there and everything. Like there are people who are posting TikTok videos or YouTube videos or stuff on Instagram or just social media in general, and then individuals can take that photo or that video and they can geotag exactly where it is, and they can geolocate exactly where it is. And if some dude on his computer, in wherever can do that, then your enemy can do it too. And so like that's the major problem that we're definitely going to see in future wars, sadly, is that technology is this big, amazing, beautiful thing, but man, it can be exploited for the worst things in the world.
Is that something you sort of tied into your books, the fact that technology and its advancement can be what's the word, can be manipulated,
Weaponized.
Weaponized?
For sure. So in the first book itself, there's nothing to that point, but it's something that I've written into the storyline for my next book as well as the third one. The thing with my series is that I'm able to get way more intimate with the different with the different stories. I'm not working on this wide global universal type of deal where they have to go all over the place and jump to different planets, very centralized to one location. And so I can tell these more intimate stories. Like the first book, Cherubim's Call, which comes out tomorrow,
It
is
it does touch
basically,
a little bit, doesn't it? There's a couple of points in there which kind of
Mhm.
touch on the idea with the leaked video. So I've beta read Cherubim's Call. So so if
Oh,
you,
okay.
James asked me to do a
Okay.
beta read for it, and I did some. So some of the feedback you had
Cool.
may have come back from me. But yeah, I mean, there is a little bit of it in there, but the
Yeah.
scope of what they're doing is much smaller, I suppose, because it's all in
Mhm.
training, I suppose. But yeah, it's definitely something that I recall seeing in there just from certain videos and such like that were leaked.
Yeah, and it's fun to kind of take like real world things that happen now and be able to implement it because people can relate with it a whole lot more. Especially now with the war in Ukraine and it being so publicized on social media and everything like that. Like that's gonna happen. And yeah, you brought up a great point. There's a part in the book, this isn't giving anything away, but there's a part in the book where a ship comes back from deep space, which if you read the main series, you'll be like, "Oh, I know exactly what that is." But if you read the series, it's kind of like if you read the book that I wrote and everything, and that's the only thing that you read, it'll still make sense for you. But they see the ship coming in, and they end up finding the images on the scopes from this that are basically out there. And people can use that for propaganda purposes. Propaganda is huge. It'll be brought up in multiple books through this entire series because it can both be used for good and for bad. And people, and no matter what I like to do with my characters is make them as human as possible. And so I take conversation that I've had in real life where you can be a soldier in the same unit in the army together, you get deployed, you're going to Afghanistan, and these two soldiers who work together in harmony have vastly different viewpoints on what you're doing over there or what's going on, you know, and that's never going to change. That's not just now. That's going to be in the future too. And so, especially when humanity gets into the wider ring in this future timeline within this series, we have people living out in the belt. We have people living on Mars and on the moon. We've colonized into our solar system, and so there are people who are naturally, especially when Earth starts unifying together, there are people who are going to feel left out. They're going to feel bitter. They're going to feel different. And so there's one one character that I really love. I really love writing her. She's a medic. Her name is Cara Nova, and she is born in the belt. She was born in the belt. Her family resides there. She still joins the Republic military though, and there is this beautiful back and forth dialogue that she has with multiple people in several of the books where her thought process or her thoughts and her views on belters and how they give to society clashes with people who have never lived that life before. And it's a natural thing. People have natural biases because they don't understand where the person comes from or who they are. And then once you get to learn who that person is, where they come from, then you start to understand them better. And I love these characters and being able to have these conversations that I feel that people nowadays need to have more of with individuals. It's very easy to see somebody from somewhere else, from a different walk of life, or whatever it be, race, gender, religion, anything that is different from who you are as a person, somebody else has, and it's very easy to take that person and just write them off. But if you truly sit down and you talk to that person, doesn't matter, where your background is or where you're from or anything like that. Like you can find common ground with that individual and you can have a relationship with that individual and a friendship with that individual despite not agreeing on everything. We're humans. It's going to happen. But, a lot of people just need to be able to take the time to sit back and kind of just have a discussion with one another and know
It's
where
very
they come from.
it's very pertinent for modern society today, isn't it? Though,
Yeah.
sort of there's very very polarized views on the world, and
Yeah.
it's quite hard sometimes to find that common ground. To be honest, the war in Ukraine, as much as it is a horrible thing for them, obviously, I think has been a unifying factor for a lot of people. Like Northern Ireland, where I come from, they'll fight over everything. They'll fight over everything, and I've never seen a unified position from both sides in my life, in my lifetime, until now. And it's just sort of like, fuck Putin, that guy's fucking mental. And it's like literally everybody sort of is just sort of kind of meshing together to show their support for the Ukraine and the aggression of the Russian state. And it's insane.
It's very it's very sad that that we all come together over the worst things in the world, and that's just humans. That's just what's going to happen. No matter what you do, Sally, I don't think that's ever going to change. It'd be really lovely if that changed, but it feels that that basically is the ultimate unifier is when something horrendous happens. It could be as simply as like a small terrorist attack here, and then people start changing their Facebook profile photos to that nation's flag or whatever in solidarity. I remember I'm old enough to remember 9/11 happening here in the U.S. After September 11th, 2001. Like people say the world changed, which America at least definitely changed the landscape of how we treat everything in America. But like I always tell my friends and stuff, like sadly enough, America has never really been as unified as it was on September 12th, 2001. I mean, geez, Louise, you couldn't go down the street 2 feet without seeing an American flag out there or somebody holding a banner that said "God bless the USA" or what have you. And so it's a very sad reminder that these horrible things have to happen in order for people to come together and unify. But I think that's why writing these characters to be able to have these conversations that I wish people had more often with one another. It's kind of cathartic to be able to do that. It's like almost therapy, which is the whole reason why I got into doing this with James, is because I mean, just the writing experience itself is a very therapeutic thing for me. And yeah, it's beneficial, I feel.
Yeah. I think sort of human beings are very tribal creatures. We've still got that sort of tribal mentality we haven't evolved past it. You can see it in like, football, American football, stuff like that. You'll have,
Hi-fi.
anything just sort of, they have this really sort of, that's their thing and that's they're into. And it takes something bigger for them to sort of kind of, get that sort of, that bigger tribe to sort of become something more. And they say that it would take an existential threat like alien invasion and stuff to unify humanity. They need something bigger than themselves to realize that we're all one people and we need to sort of kind of do this. And I think that Ukrainian thing has unified the West, in fact, especially, and said, this is bigger than our petty squabbles. This is bigger than anything else. This is an existential threat. This is something more that we need to band together and be unified on.
Yeah, I think in many ways, the West is more unified than it's ever been before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Since
the Cold War, we have never been more unified. And it's like it's almost at Russia's detriment. Like, it's yes, you get a small piece of land, but then you've got a massive unified.
I don't think you
seas
started
of
out
nations
properly.
Exactly.
I feel bad for the Russian people, to be honest, because I'm confident, as much as there's no doubt a lot of them who are you don't know any better because of the propaganda and stuff like that, but I guarantee you there's a lot of them who don't want this but can't. Because I had a friend, his wife's Russian, and he used to teach English in Russia, and he would tell me stories that they're so how paranoid paranoid in a very comical way. Like they'd sort of put their phone down and walk over somewhere else and talk about something, and then come back and get their phone and things because they knew that
It's
maybe
lessons to
they were
learn.
going to get looked at and listened to. And there's really odd things he'd say, and it's just like, and they make jokes out of it, they make light of it, but it was very much yeah, we don't want to be disappeared basically. And
Yeah,
that's
there's good people everywhere. I mean, like people. I think the biggest thing, especially when you study history or you learn history in school, I think the big thing that it is a problem with learning about history nowadays is that it's very black and white. It's
yes,
very
yes, agreed.
like bad, good. That's
No
it. And
gray
it's like,
area.
well, no, that's not true. Like the like the whole world is gray as heck. Like not every German during World War II was a Nazi. Like you know what I mean? Like not every Russian over in Russia right now is a horrible person who thinks that what's going on is a great thing. You see it in the news all the time when Russians are being arrested and thrown away in the gulag and everything when they're trying to protest the war that's currently going on. There's not just pure good and pure bad. There's a lot of gray in this world. And also there's a lot of people who do horrible things with good intentions in mind. Like humans are flawed, man. Like it's just gonna
Thanos.
happen. Yeah,
Thanos.
yeah. Luckily we haven't gotten to Thanos level yet.
Yeah,
Of evil.
good intentions, just maybe went a bit over the top,
Man, it's
Yeah, I
only
mean,
it's only
you want
May. We've got
everybody to be
plenty of room to work with here.
No, man,
I mean,
I fully agree. Like, there, and I'm glad you see. I did a military history degree, in university, and we've always been taught to sort of view the other side of the coin or what was on the other side of the hill. So you were made to argue the counterpoint first, so you could sort of understand what it was. So you might not agree with it, but you had to argue that point just so you had a level view on everything. And because of that, I think personally for myself, it's sort of lightened my life up, or sort of broadened my life up, because I don't look at things like you said black and white. I'm very much a case of so they might be saying this, but there's very much a case for this as well, and you have to understand this and this, and that gray area very much meshes into it, and it's very sort of therapeutic, and because you can kind of understand things fully instead of having that, well, we are the good, we are the bad, and there's no middle ground whatsoever. It's just like having that gray area and understanding the gray area, I think, makes the world a more real place and something you can potentially fix going forward, instead of going, they're the bad guys and we need to sort them out. It's like, yeah, well, are they bad, inverted commas, and what, why are they doing that? And it makes you throw out more questions, and you can sort of deal with the situation better, I think.
Yeah, if you go along that route, I mean, man, if everybody had that type of mentality, I truly believe that the world would become a more proactive,
Agreed.
sort of, species than a reactive. Because that's basically what it comes down to, is nobody anymore wants to look at the why something happened, because sometimes the why is messy. And we live in a world where, if nowadays, if you even try to bring up like this, and this, then people might be like, well, you can't say that. And it's like, well, yeah, but I'm not doing it to be divisive. I'm doing it so you can look at what's happening. Like that's just what it is, yeah, man, I don't know. Hopefully the world gets better. Hopefully everybody starts loving each other again, and we won't have that. See, that's why I love writing sci-fi, man, because you can create your own future where where
Escapism.
everything is good, and
Yeah.
exactly. You can just escape. I mean, that's everybody needs an escape every now and then, whether it's video games, movies, TV shows, whatever.
Yeah.
Man, books. You just need an escape nowadays, and
Yeah,
yeah, but
I'm very much sort of, I quite like doing the sort of, because we do a Dungeons and Dragons game, myself, Pete, Mark, and a
love
few
it.
others. We do a D&D game every Thursday, and
Awesome.
it's just good to sort of, one, because they're writing their own stories as we go along, but it's just good to have that escape and to create that world and something that's completely out there. And there is gray areas to it, but then there's a lot of heart, and there's a lot of sort of, good as well, and it's sort of quite heartwarming in parts and stuff. People do bad things for good reasons, and I like that. It's having that sort of it's obviously not on the same level as yourself writing a book, but it's sort of having that output where you can sort of kind of create something to get you away from the darkness that surrounds you in the real world as it is.
Yeah,
Well, I mean,
I think
yeah.
like, oh no, go ahead.
No, I was going to say like that's one of the reasons why I play my character Draken the way he does. Like he's a big, burly, dragonborn barbarian, very low intelligence, shall we say? And because I'm a freelance journalist, I work in cybersecurity, technology, and science, where it's very calculating, very precise, very kind of incisive. Sometimes you just want to swing an axe.
Yeah, and he does, and he gets everybody into a lot of trouble on a regular basis.
But that's the I just damn the conscience and hit it with an axe, and it's just a release and a kind of mental relaxation.
That's awesome. That's the best. That's I love. So I I love playing D&D. I love playing D20 games. One of my favorite D20 games that I found like a long time ago, and they just ended up doing a Kickstarter for it again, and I got the thing was Twilight 2000. It's a
Oh,
modern.
Pete's just done
Oh,
a,
okay.
Pete's just
Oh,
done
I
a,
saw
Pete,
the reactions.
yeah, Pete just did a
It's
review for that. Yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
that's
really, really
brilliant.
good
Yes,
game.
dude. Yes. Because no, who knows about it, man? Like I always bring it up. I'm always like, "Hey, I really want to play this with people," and everybody's just like, "What is that? Is that the thing about vampires?" And it's like, "No, it's not that stupid
No.
movie. It's real. It's awesome." God, oh, I'm so dude, you made me so happy to see.
If there's an RPG, Pete's probably got the book and probably reviewed it at one point in time. He's got
That's
that. He's got a
awesome.
shelf. This shelf there is bending under the pressure of all the RPGs he's got.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah,
awesome. I love it, dude, because that's how I got that's how I love to hone my writing skills or my narrative skills really by doing sessions and writing these small campaigns or these short campaigns with friends and things like that. Because that's the best way to be able to continue to work on, your narrative skills. That it's like if you play any professional sport, you have practice, right? And it's so you can keep those skills up, you do remedial things in order to keep those skills sharp, and that's basically what D&D or just D20 games in general does for me. And some of the best things have come out of, some of the stories have come out of D&D or out of a D20 game in general. I mean, like The Expanse, that
I love The Expanse. So
amazing.
good.
Yeah, it's an amazing book series. It's an even more amazing Amazon TV show. I absolutely love it every second of it.
Best sci-fi in
That
years.
started as a D20 game.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
yeah.
the two authors created this universe and created like a homebrew system. And then they're like, "Hey, let's write a book out of these missions that we've done. It would be really cool." And then obviously it became this huge thing. But you know, the silliest of things start, sometimes just on a whim, and then they become absolutely massive, which I'm not saying that's at all what my series or what my book's gonna do. I really hope that'd be awesome. That'd be so cool. Um, but for now, it's my little escape, and I hope that people, will read it and will thoroughly enjoy it. Lance, you said you got to beta read it?
Yeah, I did a beta read about 3-4 weeks back.
Oh, that's awesome. How did you enjoy it? Was it good?
I enjoyed it overall. There was a couple of things I picked up that I thought may need to do with how the ending kicked through. That I thought there was
Mm-hmm.
that I fed back. But as a general rule, it's it paces well. The people come across well, and it feels involving. And
Cool.
Lance's Mark's a D&D character, by the way. So
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
Oh,
right, yeah.
Our handles on here are to do with our
Yeah, because we
D&D,
do
but
we,
it's just
we
like
do
you
D&D
remember
on
it.
Discord, so it's just
I got you.
that's his D&D character.
I've been called worse things. Yeah, no, my D&D character is a Warforged.
Yeah.
So yeah, I went with something moderately weapon related for him because he's supposed to have been a bodyguard that was kind of discarded.
Oh, I love it. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, that's I've been sweating bullet because like I said, the book comes out tomorrow.
Yep.
And I've been sweating bullets about it because it's the first real foray for me. You know what I mean? Like I get no, nothing against James or anything, but like I can look at reviews on those other books and I can be like, okay, these are things that I can change. Oh, maybe that wasn't about me or or what I wrote. I don't know, but this one, it's like, nope. Every review that comes through, man, it is
You.
all on me, and I am. So
Uh,
it's nerve wracking.
oh, so
I've,
you have you had any sort of pre-release reviews or anything back?
Yeah, so we have a reader group. We have a couple of groups on Facebook that look through those things or get kind of advanced copies and are able to read about it and read the actual copy itself before it goes live on Amazon. And they get the opportunity to kind of give me feedback and anything like I I don't care if it's I don't know why or how I'm built this way, but I don't care if it's like the most harshest criticism humanly possible. Like let me know because my number one thing that I want to do is just make the reader happy and make the people who are reading the book happy. Like I'm not so full of myself that I think that I'm 100% right about everything that I write because it's my creation and it's my no, dude. Like overall, I want people who read the book to really connect and feel like they are a part of the story itself. And if some of the things that happen do not come off correctly or turn people off or they don't like it, like please let me know so I can fix it for later on, so I can actually make an enjoyable experience from you later,
So
or for you later. And
there's
so,
obviously
yeah,
there's obviously a line because you can't please everybody all the time and stuff. So you have to it's basically the majority of the people. I think people you maybe respect and you go if they're happy with it, then that's all that matters, really, isn't
yeah,
it?
yeah.
yeah, I mean,
There's
I've,
it's something. Oh, I'm sorry. Just real quick, like one of the things is like all I ask though is that if people watching this and people who listen to the podcast stuff, if you read the book and you leave a review, I don't care if it's as brutal as humanly possible. Like, tell me why though. The worst thing that I hate is when someone makes a review, like a 2-star or 3-star review or what have you, right? And then all they say on there is like, "This was not enjoyable at all," and then that's it. And it's
Yeah.
like, well, it's like, dang, dude, like what wasn't enjoyable? Because then maybe I can actually change what you need. But like you said, some people are just not gonna like things, and you're not gonna be able to please everybody. I fully understand that. But man, I'd like to please a lot of people. So
I know that
so I mean, if people want to,
I'm very the same.
yeah,
I'm very much the same, man. Like I've not written the book, but my band, again, we haven't done anything in ages, but we had an album out, and like when the reviews were coming in and stuff, I was just sort of like I said, sweating bullets just to see if people liked the album and things. And it's like we were getting really good reviews from most sort of countries and stuff. America, like the UK, Netherlands, loved us. And then we started getting really brutally bad ones from Germany. And I was like, oh my God, what the fuck's going on here? And it was just like, I didn't know how to take it. I was just like, well, everybody else seems to like us. Why don't the Germans like us? And I was just couldn't understand why they didn't like my music. And it was really annoying me, despite the majority of the reviews being good. It was annoying me that Germany didn't like our review or didn't like my album. And I was like, why? I don't understand.
But it
yeah,
reminds me of
it's
it
frustrating.
reminds me of a review I saw once that someone did on Amazon. They gave this book 1 star, and they said, "I don't know, I didn't really enjoy it. It felt like the author was just making it up as they went along." It's like you do understand what fiction is about, right?
Hashtag fiction.
It's like,
Oh man.
congrats, you just explained what a
Yeah.
fiction novel is.
I must admit, I do fair bit of freelance writing in journalism, and I've learned very quickly ignore most of the reviews for the reason
Yeah.
you stated, as in like, no, I did not enjoy it. Well, so what? I mean,
Yeah.
in some ways, you have to write for yourself. Don't write for pleasing everyone else. Please yourself first, and that way you make it true.
Yeah,
We try to,
people just need to kind of understand and realize that like, it's okay if you don't like the product that was, put out or it's okay if you don't like the direction that it's going. If you have feedback, please give me feedback. But also like I, it's very easy to be mean and just rude and cruel to people over the internet because you're not face to face with them and it's anonymous, right? And so, like, people, I think if I had a message for anybody who reviews books, like, people need to understand that it might not be your cup of tea, or you might not like it, but the person who wrote the book, like, this is a passion. Like, this is their baby. They really care about this. And so if you're going to be very brutally honest about things that you like or don't like about it, then please let them know why, so they can
Constructively.
then fix that, or maybe make them a better author, or at least so they understand where you're coming from, as opposed to just like, this sucks, and then that's it. Because it's just like, well, cool, that did a lot for my confidence. I
Yeah.
appreciate that feedback.
Yeah. There's a guy. So when my first one of the first articles I wrote for Geek Pride many moons ago, was like I think it was like some history piece I did, and I loved history. I hadn't done a lot of writing because I'm dyslexic and I had a few problems and stuff, so I thought I'd give it a go. And I wrote this article, and it got ripped to shreds because grammatically wrong. There was things it didn't flow very well, and it got ripped to shreds by people. But a lot of them just took the piss, and there was no constructive criticism on it whatsoever, or nobody was willing to sort of kind of tell me how I could get better. Bar this one guy called Chris Roper. Now, he's been on the podcast. He's a fellow author. He's written a load of short stories. Great guy. I always sort of, I can't speak more highly of the guy. He spent time, and he didn't need to do it, but he went through the article, and he sent me like a Word document, and he sort of highlighted stuff, and he sort of kind of told me, he says, right, this should maybe be like this, and maybe this should be like this, and this is where your issues are and stuff like that. And I took everything on board, and because of that, I am a million times better at writing now. I think he taught me more in that one sort of document than I ever learned in school or anything else, and I'm a much better writer because of it. And it was all down to constructive criticism and being constructive with their views. And I'm very mindful. Like, I'm doing a review of a game at the minute, and it's not bad, but it's not great. And I'm trying to sort of, instead of kind of going, this is, I'm not enjoying it, and being sort of completely harsh with it, I'm trying to sort of so I enjoy this. This needs to be better. You should do this maybe. But all in all, it's not a bad game. Just make sure this happens. So I'm not being an asshole about it, because I've been there. I understand what it's like to just be ripped to shreds for nothing. Like one of the first magazine reviews we got for my band, a thing called Rocksound, and this guy, it was like our first EP. We did it in our bedroom. It was literally, like you said, we had passion. We really wanted to do this. We spent all what we could do to sort of get this thing out, and we got good enough reviews. But this one guy, all he did was take the piss out of us and call us children, and basically all these, like, just took the piss. And I was so annoyed that I went on this big sort of internet campaign to sort of complain about this guy's review, because I said, I don't mind if you didn't like the music. It's fine. A lot of people might not like the stuff. I don't mind that you didn't like this, or maybe you didn't like the way the structures, but you got to be constructive about it. And you said nothing about the music itself. All you did was say we didn't spend enough money on production and the blah blah blah. And it's just like, it was just completely harsh. And he retracted it. He said, I'm sorry, you're right. And he retracted it. So I was just like,
cool.
Win.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, people need to understand that, like, this is people's passions that you're messing with. And so, some people can't take constructive criticism. Like, some people, like, I've met a few people where I've been like, hey, like, this is kind of bad, but if you do this, this, and this, and this, like, I think it can be 10 times better. And they'll just be, you don't know what you're talking about. And it's like, oh, okay, cool. Like, have a good day. But, like, yeah, man, you gotta pick and choose, what you say, and always remember at the end of the day that, like, this is somebody's passion. Like, they're not just doing this for fun. Like, I 100% into writing because I was like, oh, this is gonna be awesome. I've always do this. This is gonna be great. If you love what you're doing, you're never working a day in your life. Fuck that. It is hard, dude. Like, this is hard. Like, it's great. It's fun. I love doing it. But man, oh man, it is more than just writing, sending it away, and being done.
Is it?
I spent more time, I think, editing it than I did writing it. Like, it's insane, and I've been very fortunate with James and Frontline Publishing. They all have given me this amazing editor who goes through everything and maps everything out. And what it was, even when we went through the first initial couple edits and everything, and it was like, oh man, I think this is like it. This is the final product. Even after that, like we were able to go back and re-edit it again and like make it way better. And yeah, it's crazy because you don't even think about it as you're writing it, and then you see everything later on, and they'll be like, hey, think about this, this, and this, and it's like, oh, okay, that really opens up everything. And yeah, I'm very fortunate for where I've ended up with Frontline and everything like that, and kind of getting this opportunity, yeah, I will never squander it. It's been fantastic.
It's obviously hard work, but it is the fact that there is a historical Bible behind it, or at least some sort of like roadmap in certain ways, sort of about sort of obviously races and things that are going on. Does that make it slightly easier for you because you don't have to worry about the sort of kind of the minutia of the sort of the broader sort of kind of thing? Does that sort of help out?
Sure. Like knowing the different types of vehicles that he has created in the universe, the different types of ships, the different weaponry, the different type of aliens, all these things that he has created in his series itself. Like I don't have to worry about. Like I can literally plug and play, which has been very fortunate. I have been able to kind of go into certain areas that he hasn't really explored yet, and I've been able to create my own stuff that he's now implemented in his series. Like one of the characters that I write in this first book and everything is Oliver Moore. He's from the UK. He joined the Republic military and he's a medic. He's a combat medic. And it's been awesome writing this character because I'm learning a whole lot of stuff. All of my research for that role, because I was an infantryman, I wasn't a combat medic, was I got a hold of my old combat medic who was in my unit back when I was in the army, and I asked him like if I had a question. Like for instance, there's a scene where I wrote where a character was shot, and I told him the situation, exactly where the person was hit, what type of weapon it was, what type of damage he has to his body, and I said, now, how would you do that? What would be your first step in trying to stabilize this individual? And he first was, well, he'd be dead. Like that is like that person will die. And I was like, okay, well, it's the future, so bear with me and tell me like how you would go ahead and stabilize him, and I can fill in the blanks. And so he did. He was able to map out everything that he would do on the ground there in the situation, and then I was able to take it, and I was able to, for lack of better, futurize it. I was able to then go, okay, well, how could we stabilize it? And so I was able to create all these different things. Like I remember, and it's all based off of stuff that is prevalent today. So I remember seeing an article about something, and then I did more research about it, where there is this new type of gel that the army is trying to work on and utilize to where they can, if someone
Yeah.
gets shot and they're freaking dying or they got a hole in their cavity or whatever it is, they take this coagulant gel
Yep.
and they inject it into that area, into that wound, and it literally like quick coagulates everything and keeps them from bleeding out and gets them so they can get them to triage and everything, or to back to the fob or where have you. And so I took that concept and I basically made it a little bit better to where it helped out more than just stopping the bleeding. But that's the fun thing, is that I'm able to take these characters because he hasn't dealt with combat medics in his main storyline, and so I was able to create a lot of this technology, the Halo system, which is they're able to put them into this machine that basically revolves around them, or around the body, and tells them everything that's wrong with that individual, and then they can go about using that machine to then start fixing them. They already have like another way that I was able to be like, okay, how does this fit into the modern time and everything? Like they use, for instance, my shoulder surgery. They use the machine to sew up my torn rotator cuff and torn labrum. Like, like a doctor did not go in there, take little hands and do that. No, man, he used like a robotic machine to fix my shoulder. And so I just thought about that. I said, well, where would we be as a spacefaring race, technologically advanced with that capability and with that availability to do something like that. Well, I would assume that we would have a machine that could fix everything. Now, if you have cancer, it's not going to fix your cancer, with a push of a button. But if you have a gunshot wound to the chest, you'll be able to go in there and fix all that stuff, and then everybody in this universe can heal faster using technology that we have and everything. And so it's been really fun to be able to create these different things in universe that we might not have today, but we could hope for.
There's a flip side to that, where you've got this mapped out universe, and obviously you're starting back here. How many times have you found that you've inadvertently been using stuff way earlier than it should have popped in there? Like you having read ahead, you make someone makes a reference to something about the Zodiacs that they wouldn't have learnt yet because it was still earlier in the Eden campaign.
Dude, too many times. Like, holy smoke. There's a book, or in the main series, Apollo is on a ship called the RNS Valkyrie, right? And was okay, I gotta ask you this then, Lance. Lance?
Mark.
That's your character's name.
Mark.
Yeah, Mark. When you read Cherubim's Call, what was the name of the ship that they were on?
Oh, I can't remember now. I'm advanced reading the first one, so the latest copy, so I can do your review tomorrow. So it's kind of all
Yeah.
overwritten a little bit.
Gotcha. So for the longest time, even like back when some beta readers were getting this version and everything, it was the RNS Valkyrie, right? But then we got done writing the book. We got done like literally about to send it to Amazon, and we both had this moment where we went, "Oh my god! Like the Valkyrie is
built
this
it yet."
advanced ship that we've never had before, and they would not have it at this moment." So we had to go back and change everything about
Oh,
it before
no.
we even sent it away.
Oh,
And so
no.
we've had those moments. Vehicles too. Vehicles. I know that in Into the Chaos and Into the Fire around the Alpine campaign, they had already the DC Cougars, which were these big massive vehicles, infantry fighting vehicles and armored personnel carriers called DC Cougars. Well, they don't exist yet in this, and so I have to go back, and I had to change all of that to a different weapon, or to a different vehicle. And so when we were able to do that, then we were able to kind of get underway. But yeah, that happens all the time, man. That happens all the time, where you know we'll have to go back and fix something, or else we're about to retcon everything. And we were very fortunate to sit down and do the timeline together and kind of figure out the timeline of events and everything like that. And it was really funny. I felt bad for James, because after we got done with the timeline, he had to go back to a couple of books before and change a bunch of stuff because he realized that he was off his timeline a little bit. And so, but that's why you need stuff like that. And we were very fortunate to get that done in time. So
Pokemon dropping off
I suppose
Discord.
yeah, I got bounced and came back in again. I'm guessing that Pete has as well.
Sorry, can you carry on what you were saying, Mark?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously in that situation, that's one of those things where I suppose it helps having that extra set of eyes in both directions, I suppose.
yeah.
'Cause I
Yeah,
know
it's
that
been awesome. Yeah, and also the beta readers themselves. We've had beta readers come in who have also read, the previous books in the main series, who have been like, "Hey, you said this, but why is this?" And then we'll go, "Oh yeah, dude, correct." It's hard, man, and it's even harder for James. James, not God bless him, but he writes not only the sci-fi series, but he also writes thrillers, modern war books. Like, he has all these different series going on right now, and I don't understand how that guy does it, man. I barely have enough time for my family and kids now writing one series, let alone like 5 at the same time. Plus, I work also. I work a regular day job from 7 to 3, so it's just one of those things.
God, 7 to 3.
sleep, who needs it?
Ugh. That's some early
Exactly.
starts.
When we get done with this podcast, I gotta go all the way back home and then start writing. I go right back to work writing right when I get home. Working on book 2. Pretty excited about that. All 3 books are up for pre-order right now. Cherubim's Call comes out tomorrow on Tuesday, or well, Tuesday. It's Monday today, but Tuesday. But and then the second and third book, those are already up as well for pre-order. Um, artwork on those were done by Tom Edwards, unbelievable graphic artist, and yeah, I'm really excited. Second book's called Malevolent Inferno. They go to one of New Eden's moons, called Tigris, and it's this black rock of a moon that has rivers of lava flowing through it. It's awesome. It's so awesome, and it's been very fun and unique to write these characters on that type of biome, right? And so that's been a neat challenge. And then the third book is called The Zealot, and it's kind of gonna go in this direction that we haven't like kind of done before. So at least for me with these characters, so the first 2 books are very action heavy with battles and stuff like that. Really getting to show the nitty gritty of what they do on the ground and how they fight and everything like that. The third book is a way more personal story, and I would almost say that it's kind of a thriller in a way. There's a murder mystery involved. There's not a lot of there's not like massive ground battles. It's way more centralized to the location that they're at. But it's a nice little reprieve. Because I feel like if you just had every single book, these massive, huge battles with people getting blown up every 5 seconds, it's like you're gonna get exhausted after a while. You're gonna be like, "Well, Jesus, how many times? Like, I don't need to get the next book because the next book's gonna be the same exact thing. They're gonna be going into battle, and this person's gonna die, and you know what I mean." So, it's a nice little mix up, and I think it'll be fun for the reader to kind of go on these different type of narrative choices that I take them on. So, I'm excited about that.
We ask sort of most of the authors who sort of come on the podcast about their how they deal with sort of writer's block and how they deal with motivating themselves to write. Do you have issues writing? Do you have to plan things out, or are you just like just do it, just go, just do it?
Yeah, it is, and I'm still learning. You know what I mean? Like it's been I've found different things that have helped, but it will always be an ever evolving process that I'll continue to learn from and I'll continue to tweak like here and there. But for right now, sometimes there's different things that you can do, right? I feel that if you have writer's block, I mean, if you have writer's block and you're sitting there and you're just like, what is going on? The worst thing that someone can tell you to do is, well, just push through it. Just push through. And it's like, well, yeah, I could just push through, but I guarantee you what I write will be the most garbage thing humanly possible because I'm just writing words down to try and get through it to get to what I need to do next. And so it's kind of it's hard, man. It's a hard thing to have to deal with. And sometimes what I'll do is I will write down what I need to write down. And then if I hit this wall and I can't push through it anymore, I'll either just go, all right, I need to take a break. I need to just sit down, sit back, relax, and chill. We talked about The Expanse earlier. So I haven't finished. I've read the books, so I already know how it all ends. But I haven't finished the last season, right? And the reason why I haven't finished the last season is because whenever I get in these ruts, these walls I hit, what I end up doing is I go, all right, let me watch an episode of this. And so I'll sit down and now oops, sorry. Sorry about that.
That's right.
Is so the big thing is that whenever I start getting this writer's block, I'll sit down and I'll either watch an episode of The Expanse and I'll see if that gets the creative juices flowing because I write sci-fi, right? I write sci-fi. And so geez Louise, this phone Got me all messed up.
So-
So, but the big thing that I watch now is Halo. It's the Halo series. My wife and I got stuck on that.
I haven't.
So we started watching.
I've got 4 of them to watch. I'm basically going to wait until they're all out, and I'm going to just split it. I appreciate. I'm a massive Halo fanboy, so I can't. I understand it's not like the games, so I'm going to have to take some of it sort of on the chin. But my brother seems to quite like it, so I'm just going to wait until all of them are out, and then I'll watch them.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you.
It's different to what I know of. I've not played the games because I'm a PC gamer, so that's on my to-do list now with everything else. But I'm enjoying it as it is. Some places I feel they probably could have worked on the pacing a little bit, but overall, I've been quite enjoying it. They've definitely done the action scenes quite well.
Yeah. Like, I've been playing Halo and reading all the Halo. I've read all the Halo books. I've played all of the games since it first came out in 2001. Like I'm with you, man. I'm all in on Halo. I'm a huge Halo fanboy. And when they first came out and said that it wasn't going to be a normal timeline, it was going to be a different timeline, all that stuff, man, I was so worried because I was like, oof, man, you're taking something that I love very much, and I'm afraid you're going to butcher it and bastardize it. But it's been thoroughly enjoyable. There are a lot of things where if you're a Halo fan, like if you're a deep Halo fan, you'll watch it and you'll go, oh, like I know where this is going. But you don't, but like, how are we going to get there? Right. And so that's been kind of fun because I'll be honest, man, I read all the Game of Thrones books before the TV show came out.
Yep.
And so I would sit there, like, I'm not giving anything away, but the Red Wedding, right?
Yeah.
Like, I sat there knowing exactly what was about to happen. And so it was hilarious to see my wife react to it and freak out and everything.
Oh man.
But emotionally, I was like, I know what's gonna happen. Like, I know what the end game is. And to be quite honest with you, I wasn't sitting there going like, that was awesome. I sat there and I was like, that was very well done. But I knew what was happening. And so I kind of like that with the Halo show, is that I don't I know where it's gonna go, but I don't know how the heck they're gonna get there. And so it's actually been pretty fun not knowing what angles it was gonna come at.
Do you know
All
what?
these gripes that people are coming out with. So I'm gonna go on a rant for a second. All these gripes that people are coming out with about Halo, where they're like, "That's not my Master Chief" and everything. Listen up, people. Read the books, dude, because Master Chief in the video games, yes, is a man of very small words. He doesn't have that much emotion or anything like that. But if you read the books, John 117 is an absolute savage who loses his mind often, where he yells at people and screams at people and tries to kill people with his bare hands. Like, everybody goes, oh, well, he would kill the ODSTs when he was younger and he didn't really touch. He's thrown people through stuff before because he's been angry. Like, he is a very unhinged man, okay? So I don't want people to be going into this thinking that, like, they killed everything. It's not the right Master Chief. It's not the right stuff. It's like, yes, there are some things narratively. Like, Mark hit it on the head where he said that there are some things narratively that they need to figure out. I agree. If they found the authors or the authors, if they found the screenwriters who wrote a few of the storylines and just kind of got rid of them and got somebody else, I'd be very happy because there are some characters in that show that I just do not care about at all in any way, shape, or form. And it's very frustrating to say that, but it's just like, I don't. Who are you? Get out of my face.
Yep, you've done your bit now. Can we just move on to the interesting stuff, yeah?
Exactly. If you have me watching something and I'm literally going like, oh, can this scene get over with so I can just go on to the next character? Like, sorry, you've written a poor character. I don't care what anybody says. Because I am easily amused. And if I'm not amused by one of your characters, you mess up somewhere.
Yeah, I'm very much the same. I'm easily entertained and stuff, so if I'm not entertained, I'm like, you've done something very, very, very wrong. You know? But yeah, man, I did the Game of Thrones thing. Like, I read the books, and like I was sitting there for years, and everybody else is sort of like, oh, I love that Jon Snow, and I love that Robb Stark, and I was like, oh my god, you have no idea what's going to happen to these people.
You're in for some bad news, bud.
Yeah, I was like, I remember my mate, a guy called Gears, and he comes in. I've told the story loads, but he comes into work, and he's sitting beside me. He said, "Oh, my mate, I love that Robb Stark. He's really good." And he's sort of like, he's proper from Wigan, so he's just like proper northern sort of English guy. And he says, "Oh, it's proper good, that Robb Stark." And I was just like, "Oh man, you're going to be so upset very soon. And I didn't tell him. And,
Very
and when he
rough.
came in after the red wedding, he just fucking didn't say anything. And I was just like, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry, but unfortunately, he's not going to be the only person you love to die in this in this series. And he's like, oh,
Yeah.
they can't kill off Jon Snow, can they? And I was just like,
Yeah.
You know nothing, man.
That's actually a really good segue for something with the book series, is that the characters and dealing with death, right? So in Game of Thrones, it was the same, and I loved that he did it in Game of Thrones, where like nobody was safe, no main character in any way, shape, or form was safe, because that's real life.
Yep.
Like
I was going to ask
that's
this
as
question.
real as it gets.
Are you
Yeah,
brutal with your characters then? Yeah.
Yeah. So I want people to understand that when they read the series, there's like they don't need to sit on pins and needles the entire time thinking like, oh my god, the next page someone like I'm not gonna go overboard with it. I'm not gonna go crazy. 50,000 people immediately, where every book is a new character that they have to get to know. Like, I'm not gonna do that. That's not a way to write something, especially when with George R. R. Martin, he had like 10 characters going at once, so he could afford to do that. You know, narratively, my book follows three main characters, right? All within the company. It follows Harrison Kodiak, who is a normal infantryman. He's young. He just graduates high school. He has the opportunity to go off to college and play football, but he's kind of like, is that my dream or is that my parents' dream for me? And so he wants to form his own path and he joins the military. Oliver Moore is from the UK. He comes from high society, and you know he's kind of went around his whole life being groomed to kind of be in this posh lifestyle that just isn't for him. Like he just does not want it. Like, and his parents look at him as like this rebellious individual who won't get in line and won't toe the line and won't be part of the family or anything like that. And he's just like, can I just fucking live, please? And so he feels the best way to be able to do that is to go off and join the military, because now he won't be touched by his family. They properly disown him, and he's just like, I'm gonna go live my life and do what I want to do. Like, which I feel like a lot of people will read that and be like, oh man, I wish I could just be like that. I do. And then the third guy is Aiden Hall, and he is from America. He he's on hard times. He's a common criminal. He understands that he's not on a good path, but he doesn't care because he just wants to. That's the easiest way to get by, put food on his table, and keep moving. And then the law catches up to him eventually, and he gets this opportunity to where he can either in the military or he can go live out his sentence in prison. And so he chooses the military over prison. And so there's these three unique individuals who all come together in basic training and kind of come together and become this tight bond and friendship. And yeah, you get attached to these characters, man. At least I do when I write them. And so it's never easy when it gets to a point where I may have to kill one off. Um, but it is what it is, and you got to do what's best to drive the narrative forward and really gut punch people and make them understand that like this is war, right? Like you're not always going to come out on the other side. People die all the time. One of my favorite lines that I wrote in this book is it's about a secondary character, so it's not really a spoiler or anything. But basically this character mentions that like this officer, they're putting his picture up on screens and big screens and blasting it all around the Republic and everything about how he's a hero of the Republic, died in battle, leading his men and everything like that. And Kodiak basically makes this offhanded comment where he kind of goes, yeah, but in reality, he was at the wrong place at the wrong time. He got blown up and he fucking died bleeding out on his back in the middle of a firefight. Like, he didn't do anything spectacular. He just walked up to a vehicle, walked inside of it. The vehicle blew up, threw him out, and he bled out on the ground. Like, that's like, and that's just how it is. Like, it's nasty, it's gritty, it's real. It's not, we don't live in this fantasy world. And that's the big thing that I want people understanding when they go into these books, is that it's going to be real. It's not going to be rainbows and butterflies, like not everybody is always going to make it out, because that's not how life is.
That's my sort of book.
Yeah, and I feel like people need that reality check. Like I said, I'm not going to go overboard. I'm not killing somebody off every book, or I'm not killing people off, every 5 pages or anything like that. But it's war, and people are going to die. And so whenever someone, like, I had somebody read it, the first book, and this one character, it was a secondary character. It's not anybody of major importance, but it was enough to where they're like, "Oh, did you really have to kill that person off right there?" And I was like, "Good. That's what I want. That's the reaction that I want. I want you to read it and go, oh, did you have to kill this person off? Yes, I did, and that is the reason why. Exactly what I want you to feel, an emotional reaction."
It's true.
It's not gonna get you,
Those things do sit with you, though, because it's like I'm a massive Lord of the Rings fan. I love my books. I'm not sure if you ever read the Sharp series, sort of Napoleonic sort of.
Yes.
Yeah, Sharp.
Bernard Cornwell is my favorite dude.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so good. So massively into Sharp and things, but my most vivid memory of reading a book was the Red Wedding scene in not Game of Thrones, was it in Storm of Swords?
Red Wedding.
With Red Wedding, was it in the third book, second book, third book?
It was the third book. It was, oh man, what was it? Clash of Kings.
That was second one, yeah.
Or was it Feast of Crows?
Yeah. Anyway, so I was reading the book, and my sister and my dad had read it already, and it's so vivid. Like and I just sort of, and they're sitting there watching me reading this book, knowing I'm getting to this position in the thing. And I just remember sitting there. I was in Egypt at the time. I was on holiday. I was lying underneath the sunlight reading this thing, and just sort of like slowly going, no. And it's like, no. And then just kind of going, oh, what the fuck? And I just remember getting up and go, oh my God, what the fuck just happened? And it's like throwing the book down on the ground, and then getting up, and then obviously Catelyn gets her neck cut and stuff, and gets killed and stuff. And then, his wife gets sort of, oh, do you know what she does? She's not there, actually. I lie. She's not in the book. That's the series. But yeah, so it's his mother and him, and then obviously the wolf, and I'm a massive dog lover, so Grey Wind gets killed and head stuck on a pike, and I'm just like, what the fuck is this? But I remember it so vividly. Like, I remember the faces of my brother, my sister, and my dad. I remember, just being there when I was doing it. It was just because somebody I loved, a character I loved, was dead, and I was just like, yeah, fuck my life, can't believe it.
And that's a slow burn scene.
Yeah, big time. And it's good. And from that point, I think it sort of made me feel like I kind of like, as much as it's uncomfortable, I like my literature to be uncomfortable, and it's the same when I'm reading history and stuff. I kind of like reading things which go against what I've been taught, because I like that uncomfortable truth, and I kind of like that uncomfortable sort of when you're reading fiction, you like a character and you've got that sort of, oh no, something's gonna happen to them, and as much as you're just like hoping it doesn't, part of you's kind of going, but if it does, that'll be fucking awesome, that'll be so good. So yeah, I like that sort of thing. So yeah,
I saw a meme somewhere that would probably appeal to both of you, which was what sort of a psychopath can finish a perfectly good book and just carry on and start another one as if they haven't just had their heart ripped out, thrown on the floor, and stomped all over by a herd of elephants.
Do you have you read any of the First Law trilogy by Joe Abercrombie, or any of his Joe Abercrombie stuff? Right. So I got put onto this by my boss. There's the First Law trilogy. There's 3 standalone books, and then there's the new trilogy, which I'm starting at this moment in time, which I haven't sort of finished. But he is so, like, he has these characters that you follow, but there's certain things he does things that you just don't expect him. Like, people you expect to be the good guys are not good guys, or there's lots of darkness to them, and there's lots of sort of edge to them and stuff. And he does this thing where you're just like, you don't know how to sort of take people, and because they're really real, they're just sort of like, they're humans, and it's just, it's a great way to read things, because it's fantasy, and it's like the people you think were going to be the good guys aren't, and the guys who are the bad guys aren't so bad, and there's a bit of a grey edge to it all, and it's just like there's things happening, you're just like, holy shit, the fuck, I didn't expect that to happen, and I love it. I love that sort of thing. I love realism, even when it's in sort of fantasy and stuff, because you read your books when you're growing up, and you can't. The hero does the hero thing, and he survives, and that's great. They're all great, but having characters who just sort of get turn out to be shitheads, or turn out to be killed and stuff. You're just like, yeah, I love that. Love it.
I hate mustache twirling villains.
Oh, yeah.
One-dimensional.
Yeah, man.
One-dimensional villains where you see them and you go, oh yeah, that guy's just a pure evil schmuck, and it's like, well, there's nothing else there. But if you take a guy who is, at his core, not a good person, but if you give him human qualities, you can still make him
Relatable.
write him to the point, or her, to the point where people kind of go like, I don't know about this person. Like, should I hate this person? I understand where they're coming. Like, if you can understand where a villain is coming from, and kind of like empathize with that person, like at the end of the day, it's like, okay, that person's still evil, but I understand why.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing for me.
Black Library are very good at doing it for the 40k. The 40k. I mean, I'm not sure if you're into your 40k and stuff, but like Warhammer 40k, the Black Library books, so the Horus Heresy series, which is like 56 books, and they're on the Siege of Terror ones, which are on book. There's 10 of them, and I think we're on book 6 or something at the minute. But they're so good at building the gray area, and so that you've basically got the 10, like for those who aren't into 40k or what is 30k for the Horus Heresy stuff, you've got 20 legions, 2 who sort of disappear and you don't know what's happened to them. Then you've got 8 bad inverted commas chaos ones, and then you've got 8 sort of good ones. So you've got traitor legions, and you've got the loyal legions and stuff. But the traitor legions all have these really sort of like tragic stories behind why they turn traitor and stuff. So you've got Angron, who's like the champion of Khorne, the chaos blood god and stuff, and he basically was taken from his planet by the Emperor, and he wanted to die with his friends on this hill, where he basically was an escaped slave with these guys. He wanted to die with his friends, and he was taken away from them, and they all died without him, and he just had that grudge that he could never sort of kind of get back. So there's these really relatable stories behind these people and why they did them, like what is it, Logar, that he worshipped the Emperor as a god, and then the Emperor basically comes down and destroys a planet because he says, that's not what I'm about. I'm not about worship as a thing. And that sort of fucked his head up, and he went towards the Chaos Gods. And there's all these sort of kind of very relatable reasons why these guys turned traitor, and it makes them so much better. You don't have just evil guys. You have guys with axes to grind, and just sort of like, what? Maybe they're right in a certain way, maybe. So that grey area is so good.
One of the best relatable villains I found was Ed Harris in the Nicolas Cage film The Rock.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Because he took a lot of people hostage for a very valid reason, recognizing fallen soldiers that had been died in deniable operation, but their relatives had been denied, reparations. And you've been watching that and thinking, yes. So you kind of went, well, who is the villain here? Is it Ed Harris? Is it? Then we just know it's Womack.
It's the government.
It's Womack, the CIA agent, director. In fact, he's the bad guy.
But they say that every villain is the hero of his own story.
Exactly.
One or another. Sometimes because they have a valid reason. Sometimes because they're broken. Realistically, sometimes it's because, as you were saying, they want something different to what everybody else does.
We had a sort of in our D&D campaign, we had I say bad guy inverted commas. We had a guy, he was fucking with the party, and he was basically somebody that one of my brother's character knew from his sort of his village, his sort of the elven village where he came from and stuff, and he basically betrays them, and then there's a point in it where they sort of meet him again, and they manage to capture him and stuff because he's on the side of the sort of the main big bad guy in the series. And there's a part in it, and it's so beautiful because I had this really long backstory for him and why he's doing what he did and all this other stuff, but my brother didn't know this. And there's a really good point in it where basically my brother asks him, "Did you kill my father?" Because he knew that he had been killed. He says, "Did you kill my father?" And he says, I did, and so as much as he was my brother character in this, I don't even bloody name. What was his name, Mark? Pete. Gaius. That was it. Gaius. That was it. Gaius. And he says, "I did." And my brother basically does this thing where he says he puts his head on Gaius's head, and he says, "I thank you for protecting because he's got a twin brother. Thank you for protecting my twin brother." And then he stabs him in the head with a knife for killing his father. So it's just like this sort of moment where like we didn't know what was going to happen. He literally just says, "I put my head on the sin. I thank him for protecting my brother," and then I stab him in the head with this knife. And I was like, "Oh fuck, you killed this guy and stuff." Yeah. And I was just like, but then it gave me a really good plot point to basically have this moment where he found out the backstory on why he killed his father. So he killed his father because they were in this sort of they were being tortured, and his father wouldn't give in, but he was near enough death and he didn't want to carry on sort of kind of just being in pain. So Gaius kills him basically as a mercy. And then he tells him before to look after his son, which is my brother's character's brother. So there's like this really sort of kind of thing. So he's killed this guy thinking he killed his father, but deep down he was doing it because he was sort of doing a mercy. He wasn't a good guy because he was a bit jealous. There was all this sort of darker edge to him, but he was trying his best to be a good person at that point. So there's this like really grey edge. So my brother was feeling super guilty because he found all this stuff out, and I was just like, "Oh man, I love that. It was so good. It's so good."
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, it was very dark.
It's downside to letting family do D&D where one of them's DM. They start taking pot shots. They start looking for really good ways to break the other half. Like when
I've got some other point, and I feel like I'm doing it on my brother quite a lot, and it's just because he's really into it and stuff. But I've got a few more tear jerkers for him. I've made him cry once, so it's
not meant to make your brother cry.
I got to make Danny cry. I've got to get Danny crying at one point. I know I did. When Salden's character died, she cried, but she's now got very hard and decided she's a murder hobo. She just goes around killing people and not giving a shit, despite being a cleric. But so it's like, so I'm determined. She keeps on thinking.
Barbarian.
Yeah,
is protecting more people than the cleric.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so Draken, so Pete's character has to go around stopping them from torturing people and things because he's just like, "You're meant to be good. You're not meant to be doing this." So they're just like, "Well, if we cut off his jaw, we're not killing him. We're just stopping him from talking." And so he's having to stop these guys. Brilliant. Anyway, we're completely going off topic here and stuff. Anyway, right. I feel like we could talk to you. Your enthusiasm for your books, man, is very, very what's the word?
Infectious.
Yeah, infectious. Like really infectious. Like I love seeing it. Like we've interviewed a lot of writers, and they're obviously they're very sort of into their writing, but you're like, I love the fact that you're just like, "Oh, and there's this bit, and there's this bit," and you're just so excited about your book. And it's brilliant. I love it. I love that sort of thing. I love somebody's just like, and you can tell that you want to tell us everything. Like, you're like, this isn't gonna ruin it. But it's just like, you're just like, "Oh man, but there's this bit, and then there's this bit, and then there's this bit," and it's just like, and I love that.
It's the worst. It's the worst. You can ask my wife. I like. I can't keep a secret. So I'll buy her a birthday present, and then I'll sit there for about a day or two, and then I'll go, hey, you want to know what I got you for your birthday? And she goes, no, it's like in a month. And I was like, yeah, but okay, fine, I won't tell you. And then she'll say, of course, she'll be like, okay, yes, I want to know. And I'll spill it out of me. Oh, I can't do it. I can't keep a secret. I get too excited about things. But I love this series, dude. I love this book. I love because I've already written out what's gonna happen in like the next upwards to 6 books in the series, and I'm just really excited about it, man. I can't wait for other people to read it. I know that some people aren't gonna most likely like it, but that it is what it is with everything
Have you,
that comes out nowadays. But I'm really hoping that the people who do enjoy it really enjoy it and want to continue on knowing what these characters do because the fact of the matter is like it's how it is with TV shows and with book series that I read. I prefer television series to movies because I get too attached to characters and I want them to continue going on and on and on and on.
yeah.
Harry Potter is like this huge thing for my life, right? And so the fact that I don't get any more of it basically like sucks, except for the Fantastic Beast movies whenever those come out and everything. But I don't know. I just love being enamored with these type of universes
Yeah.
and these type of characters, and I never want it to end.
Have you read any of the sort of Warhammer 40K or Warhammer 30 the Black Library books at all? You know, no.
No, I haven't. I haven't really gotten into Warhammer too much, and it's just because of my preference. Like I can't. All right, this is gonna sound really petty and everything because it is very petty of me. But I love the Total War series, the Total War video game
The
series.
history ones.
And I'm so disinterested in Warhammer that when they decided to make Warhammer Total War games instead of Empire 2 or Napoleon
yes.
3 or whatever,
Yeah.
like that, it infuriates and makes my blood boil. Like to see a Total War Warhammer 3 come out and not a Total War Empire 2 come out makes me just go, why? Why, guys? Come on. I need more muskets in my life.
I love the Total War games. I'm a massive I've had them from Shogun Total War. I've had every single one. The history ones are my favorite. The Total War ones because they're the fantasy ones. They're all right. The most recent one I haven't got a lot of interest in because I like the Empire and they're not in it and stuff. So I'm just not bothered with it really. But
Gotcha.
you know I understand that, but the thing is, the Warhammer 40K isn't fantasy. It's basically sci-fi, superhuman, super soldiers, like grimdark. So it's basically fantasy in space with like super soldiers. And there's a lot of heroes, and there's a series within it called Gaunt's Ghosts. Basically, Gaunt's Ghosts is so you've basically got this world of demons and massive sort of kind of war machines and super soldiers who have like 2 hearts and can take all kinds of damage and stuff. They're wearing armor and have bolt guns and stuff like that. And then you've got these guys who are Imperial Guard, who are just humans, and it's sort of like it's their story, going through the trenches and stuff like that. It's very similar in that they're in the sort of 40K world, the Imperial Guard are very expendable and stuff, but it's a story about these expendable soldiers sort of going through this sort of very harsh sort of world.
Are they the Last Chancers or something?
Yeah, the Last Chancers, I think. Yeah. So I've not read all.
I need to give it a chance. It's very unjustified honestly, how I say I don't like it.
Honestly, if you want to, seriously, books wise, if you want some good gritty sci-fi, now the Horus Heresy series of books, there's lots of them. There's like basically 56 of them, and there's another 10 for the Siege of Terror, which is basically the big event that happens in the 40K. Basically, Earth is basically put under siege. And chaos are trying to get it, blah blah blah. But the books there's so many really really gritty books. Each legion has specific sort of kind of books that sort of kind of relate to them, but there's key books that sort of move the story on, and they are some of them are just so good. Like you just cannot like write any better. I've got some amazing writers, and it's just like like I like the legion called the Space Wolves, and they've got a book called Prospero Burns, and it's basically about how they are tricked. Their Primarch, who's their main sort of progenitor, is tricked by his brother Horus, who's the arch traitor, to basically destroy this planet on his behalf because he says that Magnus is basically turned traitor, which he hadn't, and so it's like there's this sort of edge to it, and it's just it's so good. Like you should, I'd have to give you a list because you're not going to read through 56 books, but there's specific ones that can move you through the story as it goes, and they are so good. Another one, it's a short story, but I just love it, and it's basically Space Wolves are they're on this planet. There's basically there's a pack of them. They're trying to help some of the local people from taking out some Dark Eldar raiders who have come in and are basically making slaves.
Space raiders.
Yeah, space raiders coming in. They're basically making slaves of them. So the Space Wolves help these humans to sort of prevent this and get rid of the Dark Eldar menace. But the thing is, they're also there to basically bring this planet back into compliance with the Empire. And basically the whole thing about it is you either come back to the Empire or we make you come back into the Empire. And there's this whole thing where they have this sort of, they help these people, they sort of they help them, they sort of have these really good moments in it, and then at the very end they basically sort of the Space Wolf, I can't remember his name, he basically says, you'll be joining, you'll be coming back to be coming back to the Imperium, and the main sort of kind of guy, and it's just like, well no, because we want to be free, we don't want to be under this, and he kills him. The Space Wolf just kills him. Like, after the whole story, they've been doing this together, and he just kills him. And it's just like, well, that's just not how it works. And it's just that they're single-minded, that they are sort of good guys, inverted commas, but in the end, you're coming back to the Imperium one way or the other. So he fucking kills him. Yeah. And I was just like, loved it. I was just like, that's such a good story, man. So you should definitely, you should give it a go.
Yeah. There is the running joke about 40K, isn't there, that when kids get into it, their parents come in and say to the staff in the shops, so who are the good guys? And the staff member just goes,
yeah, they're not. They're all, there's a lot of edge. Just not sort of. There is no real good guys, is there? The Toy, I guess, but even they are a bit sort of like.
Oh no! Even then, they have their own thing. I help to run a wargaming club, so sometimes you'll get the kids come in with their parents that have been bought it for Christmas, or they want to get into it, and they'll say to you something like that. So, which army should they play? Well, there's a lot of different armies. Well, we don't like that one because they do drugs. Well, yeah, okay. We don't like them because this. We don't like that. You just need to pick the one that you dislike the least then, because they will all have something you don't like, my dear.
Anyway, again, going off on a tangent. Right, so before we end, we had said basically at the start that we've got this new section that we're going to try and do, where we guess. It's a podcast, a wrestling podcast called Straight Shot or Straight Shoot, and they do this thing with wrestlers, but I thought we would do it with different nerdy franchises. So the rules are, you've got to choose a franchise, you've got to tell us what that franchise is, and then you've got to think of a character, and we have got 60 seconds to guess who the person you are thinking of. Now, it has to be somebody we can actually potentially guess. So you have to tell us what the franchise is. And then we can go from there. So what is it? What's the franchise?
Let's go with Harry Potter. Do you guys know that?
I'm out, guys. I've never actually read or watched a Harry Potter film or book. I know about it by sort of inferral, but I've never actually sat down and read a book or watched a film.
Okay. Are there?
Wait. Okay, bear for a minute. Let me get my timer out, because let me do the timer thing. Okay, so, cancel stopwatch. Okay, so Harry Potter. Name the character. 60 seconds. Go.
Are they part of Hogwarts?
Yes.
Good or bad?
Great.
Ooh.
Okay. Are they a pupil or a teacher?
What was that? Sorry.
A pupil or a teacher?
People.
So pupil. A student.
They were a pupil. Yeah, they were.
Male or female?
Male.
Male pupil in Hogwarts.
Would it in Slytherin?
No.
Are they older than Harry?
Yes.
Within Gryffindor?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that's it. So one more question. And then we've got to guess. Okay. My Harry Potter knowledge is pretty bad.
Were they on the Marauders map?
Yes.
Right.
Is
James Potter?
No.
Oh,
I don't know,
Close,
man.
close.
I don't know. Got Alistair on the comments says caretaker guy ?
Oh,
Finch.
Hagrid.
not. Well, all right, I will say this: close to James Potter.
Sirius Black.
Got it. Yep, that's it.
Who was it? Sorry.
Sirius Black.
Sirius Black.
Okay, I have no idea. I don't know. My Harry Potter knowledge is pretty slim.
I have this wand tattooed on my arm.
nice.
Oh, no way. I went to Harry Potter Land when I was in Florida because my ex's sort of kid was there, and I've got the wand, Harry Potter's wand. You go around and you sort of do the thing, which is pretty cool. It was pretty.
Yeah.
All right.
I love that place.
I will do mine then.
Okay.
I will do mine. It is Star Wars. 60 seconds. Go.
Original trilogy?
Nope.
Rogue One?
Yes.
Okay,
Rebels?
so third
Rebels,
one, okay.
yes.
Can they fly an X-wing very well?
No.
Male or female?
Female.
Do you know so?
Ah, yes. All right, fine. Yes. It is. I was going to go a bit more sort of deep, but I was like, yeah, I'll go for that. Just because Rogue One's the best Star Wars film. Fucking awesome. Fucking love Rogue One.
I will agree with that. Rogue One is awesome.
So good.
Awesome.
So good. All right, Mark, your go.
Okay, so Marvel character.
Right, okay, so Marvel character, 60 seconds, go. Male or female?
Male.
Part of the Avengers?
I think they have been.
Did they have a
at one
film?
point. No.
Oh,
So
they've never had a film.
They've never had a film?
No.
They have a TV series?
Nope.
Are they in a TV series?
Nope.
Are they in a film?
No.
Fuck me. Powers, do they have powers?
Yes.
Do they live on Earth?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Marvel, male, live on Earth, no film, no TV. No. Did you say they have powers?
Are they mutant?
They have powers.
Are they a mutant?
Sorry?
Are they mutant?
They're not.
Right. Are their powers genetic or technology? As in, do them
They're magic.
Okay.
Magic.
Okay. Right. So, final question each. Is this person British?
Yes.
Is it Captain Britain?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh!
Get in. Yes. As soon as he said
I was
magic.
I was gonna say Black Bolt, but then you
Yeah,
said British. So
yeah. So I
shit.
was. Yeah. Okay. Because there's they might actually do a Captain Britain at some point
They're
in time.
talking about it, yeah.
Yeah. That could be interesting.
Not yet.
Sick.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
That'd be
right.
cool.
Yes. Gets in. Nice
Ooh,
one. All right.
Maybe they'll have Captain Britain in the Multiverse of Madness,
So
the new
Well,
Doctor Strange.
So they've got. I think they're going to have a live action Captain Carter because they've got that shield with the Union Jack on it, don't they? From
Yeah.
Yep.
So they might have a live action version of that.
In the latest time.
Yeah. Yeah.
latest
Oh,
season.
that'd be neat.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Okay, Pete, your go.
Okay, it's in The Expanse.
Again. Okay, right. So, The Expanse, 60 seconds, go. Okay, part of the UN?
No.
Mars?
No.
Belter?
Yes.
Do they call the Rocinante home?
No.
Are
Have they
they
been
male
on
or
the
female?
Rocinante?
Male or female?
Female.
Has she been on the Rocinante?
Briefly.
Camilla or Camilla, right?
Kamina.
What's her name?
Kamina.
Camina.
Oh, get
Yeah,
in
drummer.
there. 30 seconds. Get in. Nice.
Very nice. Very well done, sir.
You do know your Expanse.
I love her character so
She
much
is
because I don't feel that she properly gets the love that she deserves in the book series. And
Yeah.
so the way that they've kind of taken her character for the television series and expanded upon that has just been phenomenal. Yeah, I love that character.
Yeah,
No
it's a
spoilers. I haven't finished the season
Yeah,
yet.
it's a shame there's only like 6 episodes in the last season and stuff, but the
Is there only
Expanse
6 episodes in that last
Yeah.
season?
there's only 6
That's
episodes, man. Yeah, it's so heartbreaking because it's so, and I love that. This thing is like I've said this before, but when it first came out, I had no idea about the RPGs or the books or anything, and I just saw this thing called The Expanse that was on Sci-Fi, and it's like, oh man, it's on Sci-Fi. It's gonna be naff. It's gonna be naff. I'm not gonna watch this. And then people kept on telling me to watch it. It's like, no, I'm not going to bother. It's like you when you were like, you're the 40K stuff. You're like, I'm not going to do it out of principle and stuff. I'm not going to do this out of principle.
Yeah.
And then I was bored and I went, fuck it. It's on Amazon. I'll give it. And I've just went, oh my God, this is possibly the best sci-fi I've ever watched. Like, it's so good. It's so good. And it's just the small things that just, it's the science that they use behind it and stuff, to the way the sort of the drive works, the way they literally reverse when they come to planets and stuff because of inertia, things like that. Love it.
I love it.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah, it's awesome. Especially the space battles. The space battles are so like they're completely different from anything that you see in Star Trek or Star Wars or anything else. Basically, even Halo.
Yeah.
It does not do space combat correctly. They do it the sci-fi way, but yeah, the Expanse it's 100% like uses real physics into consideration. It's
Yeah.
Yeah, I
awesome.
wrote an article last year about the science of the space battle. Yeah, it's one of the most realistic ones I've seen. I've heard rumors. I don't know how accurate this is, but apparently NASA, quite a lot of people at NASA are massive fans of The Expanse, and they would watch episodes of The Expanse at mission control.
I would too on the big screens in there. I would
that'd be
too.
awesome.
Yeah, they would just sit there and watch it in mission control. I'm thinking that's fantastic. And yeah, but like it's like the science behind it is spot on. There's no shields. There's no kind of like defensive screens. It's just lots of armor plating.
And when you see bullets go through because they
yeah.
watch the trails go through and the little puffs of dust as everything starts to decompress and things like that.
Yeah, that's the characters are amazing. It's just sort of I love it. I was just sort of like they rush it slightly, I think, towards the end, but
very much so.
it is still good. It wasn't a bad ending. It wasn't a bad thing. It was just sort of rushed, I think.
Yeah.
I think this is something that they were going to bring up. I think that they're going to bring up like they're going to do a movie afterwards, or they're going to do like
There
3
has
movies
been
afterwards for that
persistent
Laconia arc.
rumors about it, and it does leave the ending does leave it open for continuation, but nothing has been concrete.
Also, they might be trying to like they might be trying to money for sure, but like but I think they're also trying to wait for the actors to naturally age, because by the time the Laconia trilogy comes around, like it is
Like 20 years.
A lot of time has passed, a lot of time, and so they might be waiting for that too. Who knows?
Yeah, and also it's different characters, isn't it, in the later books?
Yeah, a lot of different characters. That'd be oh man, what if it takes so long for them to make it because they're waiting for them to age that but they start filming it in space.
Well, there is kind of constant Hollywood reports that apparently a Tom Cruise film, I think, is going to be filmed in space. Actually filmed in space.
If anybody was going to do something as crazy as that, it would be Tom Cruise, like, wouldn't it?
Fair point.
Yeah, pretty much.
100%.
For my next film, I'm going to do a stunt outside the space shuttle.
Yeah. He's such a crazy bastard.
Okay, dude.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
It's not just about being crazy; it's about being able to convince them to spend their money on it.
Oh, right.
Yeah, exactly.
I think we're gonna have to call this there because I feel like we could probably carry on for another hour or so, but I think we're getting quite late for us. But it's been an absolute pleasure, man. Like your enthusiasm is infectious, and it's amazing to see. I'll get a copy of the book. You definitely have a good read, and good luck with it. I really hope that it goes well for you, and you get some really good reviews, and you go from strength to strength, because I would hate to see that frown, that smile turn into a frown, because it's just like that sort of that love and passion is just amazing. More people need to have it.
Well, I've got to do a review here anyway, so I'm going to make sure we have one up on the site. I'll send you the link. Okay.
Oh, cool. That'd be awesome. I would love it. Yeah, this has been unbelievable. This has been really fun, guys. I don't have a scale, because this is like my first interview I've ever done, but it's gonna be hard to beat. This has been really, really fun. I've had a great time.
Well, you're more than welcome to come back whenever you want, just to have a chit chat and stuff. Or if whenever your sort of the next book comes out, by all means, please come back, and we can talk about reviews and sort of what's going on next. It would be our pleasure. So Cherubim's Call is out tomorrow.
Yep, tomorrow. It goes live at midnight tonight, wherever you are. But May 3rd, 2022, it will be live on Amazon, and you can get it on Kindle version. There'll also be paperback and hardcover available as well to buy on there. And then also in June, the Audible version will come out. It'll be on audiobook. Jeffrey Kafer is doing the narration with Podium, so Podium's going to be producing it. So yeah. We'll have all the different outlets that you can possibly have.
Oh, brilliant! I'm so glad you said the Audible version, because I love my books and stuff. So okay, cool, awesome. I'll give that a whirl. So yeah, thank you very much, man. It's been an absolute pleasure. Really enjoyed tonight. And all the best. So for tonight, I've been Matt Geary. With me has been Peter Allison.
Good night, everyone.
Mark Canty.
Buy the book, you want to.
And Ted Manning.
Please buy the book. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Good night, everybody. Bye.